Is America mentioned in the prophetic literature of the Bible? Over the last couple of weeks, I've collected comments answering the question if America is found in Scripture, as well as the Scripture to back it up. My process was a fair exegesis of each verse, and of course, if the claim holds water. So let's do it. Is America in the Bible? Let's go! If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I hope you find this video interesting and edifying. And of course, a like, subscribe, comment, and clicking the notification bell is appreciated. I release shorts every day and videos like this one on Sunday mornings. So these aren't going to be in any particular order. I'm just going to hit the verse, draw from the surrounding context, reference with history, and we will do this Mythbuster style. Busted or plausible? There are some groups that paint America as an ally toward a future national Israel, presupposing the text is referring to future events, of course, and others that paint America as an aggressor, some even calling America the beast. We will get to that later. Let's start with Zechariah 14. That chapter could be made into a full video, much like the one I did on Matthew 24 recently, but we will just address the claims for now. The idea is that the nations gathered against Jerusalem in verse 2 include America. Within the chapter, there aren't really indicators other than the presupposition of it being a future event and that the nations is encompassing the whole earth. The biggest issue with this is the testimony of history. There is no argument that Rome waged war upon Israel and took Jerusalem in 64 to 70 AD. It's established fact, with the temple ultimately being destroyed. In verse 4, we read about the figurative splitting of the Mount of Olives, dividing east to west, part of the mountain north and part of the mountain south. Eusebius testifies in church history that the Christians, Messianic Jews, having taken the testimony of Jesus seriously, fled north into the mountains of Pella. This means that the elect were gathered away from the doomed city, leaving the unrighteous within. A split of the people, the former kingdom, the mountain, north and south. This precise historic event places Zechariah 14, 1 through 5 within the first century. With so little evidence pointing to the U.S., I'd have to call this claim busted. Now we jump to Revelation 16, 12 through 14. We see the river Euphrates dried up, which has been referenced often lately, but to prepare for the kings from the east. America is west of Israel, arguably. And from the beast, false prophet, and dragon came 3 unclean spirits like frogs. Having a hard time coming up with anything at all for this one. We mentioned earlier a few groups call America the beast, so that's all I can wager. Again, we will address the beast later. So, what does culture, scripture, and history reveal on this passage? Josephus tells us General Titus, who completed the sacking of Jerusalem, brought reinforcements in the siege of Jerusalem, the Parthian Empire, which is east of the Euphrates. Kings from the east. This is also a callback to Daniel, Cyrus having diverted the Euphrates to conquer Babylon in 536 BC. Also, drying up of waters we see in Exodus and Joshua. The Exodus plague in verse 13 is clearly referenced, and we see one enemy of God being used against another enemy of God. The covenant-breaking Israel judged through the Roman armies. Again, with so thin of context pointing to America, I see no option than to call this busted. Now, we hinted at it twice, so let's talk about Revelation 17. The claim is that 1718 is referring to Washington, D.C., and the beast is America. Okay, let's unpack this. The woman is described as the great prostitute in verse 1, arrayed in purple and scarlet, the colors of royalty, adorned with gold, jewels, and pearls, and held a cup full of abominations. Her forehead marked as Babylon, and was drunk on the blood of the saints and martyrs of Jesus. At this point, many people just start speculating, looking for clues in modern times for interpretation. But hold up, does the Bible ever use this language? Buckle up. Isaiah 1:21 referring to Jerusalem as a whore. 2:3 of Jerusalem being filled with silver and gold. 3:18 a list of adornments referring to the daughters of Jerusalem. 57:8 through 9 again of Israel opening up its bed to the kings. Jeremiah 2:20, Jerusalem again described as a whore. Need more? How about the words of Jesus? Matthew 23:34 through 38, he flat out says the prophets, wise men, and scribes that he sent them, they would kill and crucify and persecute. And the blood of the prophets and saints from Abel to Zechariah was upon them, that generation. Then in verse 37, again he clearly states, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets, see, your house is left to you desolate. Oh, I'm not done. Remember her cup, beautiful on the outside but filthy on the inside? Jesus says that of the Pharisees too, the leaders of Jerusalem. What is the mystery? That the people of Israel, rescued and redeemed over and over and over, now had come to this? When God first saw Israel, she was nothing, polluted in her own blood. But God's blessing instead made her seduced by her own beauty. The woman is covenant-breaking Israel of the first century, not now, then. And the great city is Jerusalem. The Bible tells us who these symbols are. We have no need for speculative gumshoe sleuthing and tinfoil hats to discover the truth. God did that through his word. Neither the woman nor the great city points to America. This one is also busted. Okay, I promised you beast talk, so let's dive in further. The same 7-headed and 10-horned beast we see multiple times. People take these numbers and make claims about their identity, and here is the claim, Revelation 13:1-7. The description, again presupposing a future fulfillment past the first century, the deadly wound that was healed, that we are living in the process of that wound being healed. That the sea means mass population. The nation is blasphemous. The 42 months of its reign, 1,260 days, is instead years. It persecutes the saints, and that all the world wonders means the literal whole earth. Now, the deadly wound is purported to be 1798. The founding of the Roman Papal Church State, 538 AD, adding 1,260 years gets you to 1798. So what happened in 1798? Napoleon led the French army against the Vatican and took the Pope captive. Then the second beast appears in Revelation 13:11, coming out of the earth, with 2 horns and spoke like a dragon. This beast is claimed to be America. Coming from the earth means lower population. Founding of the U.S. near 1798, when its independence is internationally recognized. No crowns on the horns of this beast, as America was never led by monarchs or kings. Okay, this is a lot of bobbing and weaving. Let's unpack this. Historically, not using late game events, but the historians of the day, church fathers, and again, scripture. The sea represents the Gentile nations. Isaiah tells us in 1712 and 65, so the large population claim isn't wholly false, but the description of the beast mirrors Daniel 7:1-7. It's 4 beasts representing 4 successive empires: Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, then Rome. See how that last beast is described? These are describing the same events and same subject. Rome, 7 heads. Rome was known as the city of 7 hills. History affirms this in the writing of Suetonius and Plutarch, who describe the Septimontium, the feast of the 7-hilled city. Archaeologists have even found a 1st century coin showing the goddess Roma seated on 7 hills. Sound familiar? 10 horns. Rome was known as the empire of 10 kingdoms. Now Revelation 17 gives us a bit more about the beast, that the 7 heads also represent 7 kings. So does history show us 7 kings, the 6th being alive when John wrote the vision? One who is, present tense. Josephus in Antiquities 18 gives us the list. Julius, Augustus, Tiberius, Gaius, also called Caligula, Claudius, and the 6th Caesar being Nero. Upon his death in 68 AD, 42 months before the temple would fall, Galba became the 7th. Rome and Nero's persecution of Christians and Jews is well documented. Ever heard of Roman candles? They weren't originally fireworks. Nero had Christians tied to stakes, covered in pitch, lit on fire, and used to light up his dinner parties. Nero was literally called the Beast of Rome in the 1st century. Lactantius states Nero as the tyrant who first persecuted the servants of God. He crucified Peter and slew Paul. Sulpicius Severus in Sacred History says of Nero, he was the basest of all men and even of wild beasts. Even if he did put an end to himself with the sword, his wound was cured, according to what was written about him. This was written in 360 to 420 AD, and he was quoting Revelation 13:3. So, is the beast America? Scripture does not say so. Church fathers do not say so. Historians do not say so. In fact, they testify what the beast represents. The Roman Empire, and the second beast, Nero Caesar. This one is also busted. And for good measure, the beast being the Roman Catholic Church, no, also busted. Whew, deep breath, guys. Okay, next one up is Revelation 8:12 through 14. We see an eagle crying over the earth, giving warning. So the claim is that because the national bird of the U.S. is an eagle, this must mean America. Well, that would mean that America is going to announce the next three judgments. If America was the beast, that wouldn't work, so obviously there are splits in the futurist camp on some of this. Now, there are textual variations on this verse. KJV and the Textus Receptus say angel here and not eagle, so we will answer both. If it is an angel, well, it's simple. The angel proclaiming judgment and the reference to America is gone. An eagle is a carrion bird, and Jerusalem about to fall means 1,000,000 Jews were soon to die. In the Old Testament, carrion birds accompany death, sometimes vultures, and it is the same Greek word Jesus uses in Matthew 24, aitos, which there is translated as vultures. Habakkuk tells us that eagles fly faster when hungry, and lastly, covenant judgment is associated with birds. Scripture interprets Scripture. These are birds circling to feast upon the soon-to-be carcasses. Again, not America. Busted. All right, next up, Isaiah 18:2. The claim being the nation described as tall and smooth is America. Looking at the whole passage, America sends ambassadors by sea. Not so sure about the vessels of papyrus, but America is feared. They are mighty and conquering, and the Mississippi divides the nation. Wow, this might be legit, but hold up. Isaiah mentions Cush in verse 1, so where is Cush? Biblical Ethiopia is in southern Egypt, and beyond which included Nubia, divided by the Nile River. The Nubians were known to make vessels of papyrus and send emissaries to incite rebellion against Assyria, which existed from 900 to 600 BC. Isaiah wrote his book between 739 and 681 BC. Almost thought we had one there. But Isaiah was not writing about America here. He was writing about the tall and smooth Nubians. Busted. Maybe, just maybe, there's some other verses I didn't cover, points I didn't address, and by all means, leave comments and let's discuss it. America is not mentioned in the Bible. There is no historical, linguistic, no church father or scriptural reason to think it does. All of the temporal markers in Matthew 24 and Luke 21 and Revelation point to an imminent event, one that was fulfilled in 64 to 70 AD, the judgment of covenant-breaking Jerusalem. Instead of poring over Middle Eastern newspaper, I exhort all of you to spread the gospel, make disciples, live lives of honest work that honors God, build his kingdom until all enemies are made a footstool and our King returns. Grace and peace.